All right, everyone. Welcome to another week of the Big 12 podcast. I'm your host, DangerZoneh, and this is,
Head coach TuscanSota.
and we're getting right back into it. Another great week of Big 12 action. This week we saw West Virginia put on a show against Texas. We also saw Kansas fall for the first time ever to the TCU Horned Frogs in a defensive battle. And we saw the undefeated Oklahoma State Cowboys take down the Red Raiders in a battle of the undefeateds. So last week we talked about how we would build a team. Me and Half did. The week before we talked about recruiting, and now we're going to answer some more questions, more ideas that Half posted. This week we're going to go through each of the teams and talk about how their offense would do in a game against their defense, kind of talk about where each team's strengths lie. And then we'll also talk about going towards the future, whether or not we would buy or sell these teams. So the first one is at the bottom of the totem pole for these recent rankings, and it still is the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah. All right. And I got the Oklahoma Sooners depth chart page put up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting sight seeing Oklahoma, or it's actually no, it's the Iowa State Cyclones. I'm sorry, Ted.
Oh.
Yeah, it is the Iowa State Cyclones. They fell back a couple weeks ago, but let's talk about Iowa State. It's more common seeing them down at the bottom than it is Oklahoma. Yeah, sorry, we're almost like we're disorganized here. Now, Iowa State, their strengths are definitely on the defensive side of the ball, if you can call them strengths.
Yeah, no, their strengths are really on the defensive side. They have a phenomenal defensive – well, they have a good defensive line in Kai Voss and Jalen Pittman, really the redshirt juniors, but also like the veteran core of their defensive line right now. But they also have guys like Mekhi Tolbert as well that are making big plays for them too on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and on top of that, they have David Tolliver in the secondary, Kamari Wilkins, a lot of different guys throughout of there. Their defensive line is going to have to put up a challenge against that offensive line. Their offensive line is solid, but they haven't performed up to that standard so far this season. So it really is not a tough choice, especially when on the offensive side they're starting August Blank, the best out of their myriad of average quarterbacks. They don't really have many targets for him except for maybe Elliott Effie. They really just struggle on that side of the ball. So I think for this one, it's a pretty easy choice that we take their defense in a battle, even though neither of them have been too great.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as well with that. Like they have what could be some good playmakers. Their biggest issue is that an offense that looks like it's supposed to be balanced doesn't have one of their key players in place. Like their run game, I think, is their weakest point. And at least when going up against their own defense, you got guys such as Mekhi Tolbert, who is focused on stopping the run, at least on the edge, and running back Josiah Edmonds, for speed back, you're going to want to have him go wide, and he's not going to be able to do that if the first person he sees is, that start offensive end. So.
Yeah. So let's ask this question: how much does it change if Tom Oldham doesn't declare? If they have him at the wide receiver position, do you still take their defense? Does that give them an edge to be able to play against their defense, or was his declaring probably a good decision for him?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Tom Oldham was definitely, like a vital part of their team, like a star wide receiver for them. It's obvious that he's definitely being missed right now, I believe. I think at least for a team that doesn't have the running back, you're going to need at least a wide receiver. You're going to need some kind of player that will at least be able to offset that weakness and provide strength. And right now, Effie isn't, he's not the replacement for Tom Holland.
Hmm.
He
Yeah,
isn't.
and
So
I think that's part of what's kind of killing Iowa State, along with losing guys like uh, Arturo Pacheco from this team.
yeah, but
All right. Now, moving forward to the next team on this list. Oh, wait, no, we forgot. I'm sorry. We're really disorganized right now. Buy or sell?
buy or sell. I don't have any stock in the Iowa State Cyclones, so like I have nothing to sell.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'd love to be able to sell because I don't know how Iowa State's recruiting class is looking. As far as young guys, I think they have some solid red shirts. Some guys, they have a running back, Kofi McCullough, who's going to come in and at least change the game for them. So I'm probably going to buy for them because you're not getting a great deal if you try and sell, especially if you bought last year or even the year before that. Then you're really not getting a good deal from your sales. So I'd hold on and buy some more of Iowa State stock.
Yeah, no, if you're gonna go for the long term, like I would say the Iowa State stocks should be cheap right now, but Iowa State's also gonna have to make some moves this offseason to make that long term investment worth it. So
Yep. I think part of it is that Minnesotan is a good coach and he is going to improve the team. And I think we'll see that in the long term with Iowa State.
all right,
Some problems are out there, but I think they're going to get better.
okay,
All right, now we go to Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Sooners.
yep.
Not commonly
Listen,
seen at the bottom at 0-4, but it is with them. It's a down year, but they'll probably bounce back,
yeah,
hopefully for Coach Ted.
yeah, just waiting for that really good win to come up because they have all the players in place. That offense should look good on paper. The biggest issue that they have right now is figuring out what to do at the quarterback position. With
Mm-hmm.
Eric Pope being the only capable player to be set at center. So
Yeah, and he's not capable.
at least right now,
Yeah,
like
right now he's not capable, but he's a guy who could develop and get better. So we're not going to count them out. We're not going to count that offense out, especially when seeing who they're going up against. But yeah, unfortunately, Kofi or Eric Pope is not playing well, and Maurice White is playing well. So it really all kind of lies on him, especially when they do have good targets, guys like Ty Royal and Rangi Salanoa. Those are solid guys who are going to develop and get better. But right now, it kind of hurts to see Eric Pope playing this bad when the team around him is not.
yeah, that's the truth. And on the defensive side, at least you got a decent amount of players right here. Like their defensive line looks okay with the Jeremy Gray, um, John David Addison, and Tyler Bowman really making that the tackles right there. It's like an okay line. I think their biggest strength would probably be their secondaries and their safeties right now, Cameron Best and Julian Foster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Looking at that, at least in terms of you know how their offense would go against their defense, but I think the passing game is already figured out. That the offense is not going to do well in this current state. So
Yeah, and I think honestly, I might still take the offense. If you can expect Eric Pope to have an at least decent game, Maurice White can do enough to carry it, and I think that they have some serious holes on defense. They have some places where depth is an issue. So I think this is a pretty close match when you take their offense against their defense. So I'm going to take an upset pick. I'm going to go with their offense and pray to God that Eric Pope does his best impression of Muhammad Foster out there, or even just like a decent quarterback, even if he's a Marcus Schwartz out there, just enough to win the game.
there you go. I think yeah, you'll go with the offense. I'll go with the defense to at least put pressure on the quarterback, kind of at least force the ball to go to Maurice White. And then from there, hopefully have the secondary be able to take care, at least stop them at the run. But then again, it's like this is let's see. Um, so at least on this point, should we go with the buy or sell for the Oklahoma
Oh,
Sooners?
I am buying as much Oklahoma Sooner stock as I can. I'm looking up and down this roster, and they have talent. They have good young players who are coming in who probably aren't playing yet, but high potential guys who in the future are going to be good. Even guys like Elijah Williams, who's going to be a star or cornerback in this conference. I see a lot of high potential with this team. And one thing they've always lacked is going to be depth, and they're going to have depth once they bring in this new recruiting class. I think they're going to be a scary team to try and play against, especially if you don't have any good corners, because they have Lucas Dykes, the 2.5-star out of 5-star wide receiver redshirting. They also have 4.5-star junior wide receiver and another 4.5-star freshman wide receiver who's currently playing, and another 4-star freshman. They're going to go 4 deep next year with stud wide receivers, and they're going to have another 4.5-star tight end. They're going to have so many players to get the ball to. They just need Eric Pope, and they need to bring in a JUCO quarterback. But their offense is going to look something completely different next year. It's going to be very fun to see.
I also agree with you on that. Like, this is probably the perfect time to buy Sooner stock. You know, like with them being 0-4 right now, this is, at least if we're looking at it in financial terms, this is a team that has really good recruiting classes. This is just a one slump, and this is something at least you should really take advantage of from an investment standpoint. Once the Sooners get their quarterback position figured out, that offense is going to be firing out of the shotgun like every single play, I think. It'll either be Eric Pope, it'll either be whoever they get this offseason. We'll just see.
Yeah, so I think this is a team that next year, I'm not going to say it outright, but they could win the Big 12. Like, they're going to be a team who taking a down year, but is going to be competing for the conference next year, especially with a coach like Ted. Like, they're not going to be down for very long. I can't wait.
I do have to give credit to Ted. Like, he is a phenomenal coach. This is just going to be a blip on the map from next season afterward. Like, Sooners will be scary again.
All right. So on that
note, who's
next team, we move up to the Kansas State Wildcats. Now, they're another team who I'm probably going to take the offense. You got Raheem Morrell there. You have Elijah Humphreys at running back, who's been solid this year. Kansas State's kind of on the downturn. They're not – they were after only 3 games. They're still only 3-1. And their only losses to TCU, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah, Kansas State.
There's Devin Tillman too.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Kansas State is a team. You know, like they've been rebuilding for a while. They've been really focused on depth players, and this is, I think, a very big turning point for them. Like they have the offense. I'm looking at their defense right now, and I think this defense won't be able to keep up with. This defense should not be able to hold back their offense. Then again, the funny thing is, they had a spring game, right? So we already have the results to this, I think.
Yeah. But it wasn't – I don't think they set their spring game up first-team offense versus first-team defense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they had 2 separate teams, but I could be wrong there. And someone in the one viewer in the shout box can correct me on that. But either way, I still think the offense has one thing that the defense doesn't have, and that's the greatest.
Yeah.
I mean, put Raheem Morrell on defense, maybe something could happen, but I think he's, interesting enough, the best player on this team, and I think he's going to make plays for him. It's kind of hard to say that after he's only played 4 games, but I do like Raheem there.
I like the greatest player to go out of Kansas State or to leave Manhattan. So,
actually, we'll see. I still think the greatest player is probably Dylan fucking Stewart. Oh, I can't say that. DFS or either that or David Doherty. Some of the Kansas State greats, which is almost an oxymoron.
Yeah. Well, hey, we'll
All
see.
right, so this is an interesting one. Do you buy or sell this?
All right, I'm looking at, that long term. Right now they have Minnow being redshirted, and that's only because you got a guy like Raheem Merle that's currently taking hold of the offense. So at least for the quarterback position, they should be all right the next 2 years. Beyond that, though, this is a team that seriously needs to start thinking long term. Like they're building depth, but there's got to be a point where you have to jump a little bit higher. It
Yeah.
might be taking care of this season, it might be taking care of the next season, but this is, I think, going to be a little bit more of a risky buy than say Oklahoma. So
Yeah. This is a team that if we're just looking at next year, I'm going to buy because I think they're going to be better next year than they are this year.
yeah,
It's hard to say that with their current recruiting class that they're not going to fall even further, which really kind of unfortunate to say. But after Raheem graduates, they're going to need their quarterback unless they want to turn back to Julius Minnow. There's some other positions that need filling, and they don't really have the recruits coming in right now to do it. So we're going to have to see how that plays out for them. But I don't think this is a team that 2 or 3 years from now, unless Half can bring in some other top guys, we're going to be saying are contenders. And I think when you buy a team, that's really what you want to get, or at least guys who are at the mid-tier of the conference, you want them to go up. And I think next year is going to be the big year for Kansas State. But after that, it remains to be seen.
I think one way that I'd put it is that Kansas State, buy now because they're raising their floor, but they need to be able to raise their ceiling at the same time.
Yeah.
That's probably at least the best thing I could put into context. So that's all I got to say about the Wildcats.
Yeah, but I'll go with sell, but I think Half is doing something here. I do think that, I definitely think that they'll be getting better at least soon. And if he can recruit at a higher level, then we'll see. All right, we're going to stay in the state now, though. And next one at number 7 in the power rankings, the Kansas Jayhawks. Rock Chalk Jayhawks. So where are you thinking here?
Let's see. Looking at Jayhawks right now, they looked great early in the season, and then just look at but besides that, I'm taking a look at their team right now. Like Kansas State Kansas can give me crap about that later, Storm. Sorry. Kansas looks good on paper every single preseason. I'm looking at their offense right now. It looks like something that like you can take and just do something with it. Like that offense looks like it's caliber and ready. Christian Graham, stud freshman quarterback, and you have all the pieces around him that give him support. At least let him take the reins.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I like about this offense right here.
Yeah, and I think their defense is just as good, though. They have the defensive ends. They have a stud, Jamari Callahan. My God, is going to be great. They have the defensive tackles. They have Cameron Reeves, a solid athlete linebacker. They also have 2 outside linebackers who are solid. Corners are a bit of an issue. I think Bradley Spurlock's still one of the better corners in the conference. And then at the safety position, they're one of the best. Noah Barfield's only a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman, and he's on 5-star right now. Wow. So, yeah, Kansas has – I did it too. Kansas has a lot to be excited about, and I think they have a good team on both sides of the ball, but I'm probably going to go with their defense here because I think Christian Graham's still a freshman. I think he can be prone to getting shut down by a good defense. I think we saw that last week. May have just been a down game for him. I think he's going to see that every once in a while, and I think everything hinges on his performance, and I think Kansas has a good enough defense to shut him down. They have players who can neutralize I think at least Spurlock can do enough to neutralize Malcolm Davis, and Noah Hills would have to have a big game, I think.
Yeah, I think
I don't
that's
think
fair.
Rod, and I don't think Rod Fulton's good enough to take the game against their defense.
This is fair. I think it's definitely going to hinge on at least performance of Graham and Fulton. These two players are new to Lawrence, Kansas, and like it's a bit of a it's going to be a bit tough when one's going to be in charge under center, and then the other one's going to be the backup guy, or at least the guy on the run primarily. So I think on a good day, I would take the Jayhawks offense. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
definitely a
just
closer one than any team we've done so far, I think.
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
a sign to how well built this team is.
Mhm. Fair enough.
Now, here's the interesting question: do you buy or sell?
They have a lot of good freshman pieces right now, and so like looking at their team right now, they've got Graham right there. He's gonna be the quarterback as Tad Jennings was for the last 4 seasons in Lawrence. I'm thinking sell.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sell hard.
Like this is this is a really good team right here on paper. Looking at least in the long term, like that there are some answers currently right now to what they have, but at the same time, it doesn't seem to be. It's not going to be. I don't think the Jayhawks will be as good as they are. I don't think they'll be as good in the future as they are right now and last season and the season before.
Mhm.
I could be wrong, but I just think that that we're going to see a little bit of a fall off for the Jayhawks. I think they'll still be able to compete, but I don't know if they'll be able to compete for the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there. I think it's going to be 2 or 3 more years before we see this team back on top, especially if they lose someone like Noah Hills to early declaration, which is looking more and more likely. But I think they have some pieces that they just don't have answers for. Guys who are going to graduate, guys who are going to leave, and they really have some questions they need to answer. And right now, they're not answering them in recruiting, which is kind of scary for them. They end up
Yeah,
getting Armani Bello and Evander Lawton out of the state of Texas. They have some more potential there, but it's gonna be interesting to see. I say that about a lot of teams, but this is a team who, looking forward, is probably going to have one of their worst years in a while next year. After that, they'll start to build back up. But I think if I'm going to buy or sell, this is the highest the Jayhawks stock is going to get for at least 2 or 3 more years.
I think my main concern right now is their offensive linebackers. Like you got Nicholas Selby and Caleb Whitmore that are basically in their senior year right now, and they're phenomenal together as a linebacker duo. But after that, that's going to be a major question for the Jayhawks as to who is going to be right there starting in those positions on defense. And like there's going to be a lot of question marks. I think
On
going
top of that, look at who they lose on the offensive line. Ben Good's gone. Cameron Schreiber, their starting offensive guard, is gone. Their worst starting offensive lineman is Ned Killian. He's going to stay. He's their center. He's a sophomore. Judah Murphy, their starting right guard, gone. Their starting right tackle, Walt McHugh, gone. They lose 4 of 5 offensive starters. They lose 2 backups of their offensive tackles. So that's painful.
yeah,
So those are some big holes. And if you don't have an offensive line, which the Jayhawks have had a lot of good offensive lines, you're in trouble. And even more so, they don't really have anyone redshirting to fill their place. They're gonna struggle to have replacement quality players at those positions. And if they can't fill in the offensive line, they're in trouble.
yeah. There's going to be a lot of question marks as we've been saying. So I think we're about ready to move
All right.
on.
Yeah, about ready to move on. We're gonna round out the bottom 5 with your Baylor Bears.
Oh yeah, number 6, and actually okay that they're at number 6 right now. At least a little bit on the underside. I like to keep up with the team a lot. And I think right now, like, if I were to pair my offense against the defense, it's going to be a mixed bag because, um, like the offense is high caliber, but at the same time, I keep thinking the defense should be performing better. So
Yeah. Well, if you looked at Baylor's first two games, I am putting it all on the offense.
yeah, that no, that was those were two fun games to keep up with, just because.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. So they have a high flying elite offense that is awesome, and I think their defense is not so high flying. I think Kyle Cunningham's good. I think they have some pieces on their defensive line, but I am putting it on the offense to outperform that game
Yeah,
because Schwartz is great. Uh, Lamont Wilder is I don't know about great for Schwartz. He's good. Schwartz. I keep thinking there. Schwartz is good, and he does what he needs to do. He's had some great games. Haston Ryder leads the Big 12 in receiving yards as a tight end right now. They have the offensive line. Defensively, they're not a bad team, but I don't think there's a question. I think the offense is going to look so much better, especially playing against their own defense.
yeah. If I were to look at my defense and kind of compare, like, okay, which will go where, at least if I were to game plan against my own defense, I think I could figure out what to do, but I ain't saying shit. So
Yeah, giving it away.
no, I mean, well, for one, I know that the West Virginia coach is gonna be looking at this later, but number two, I got too many people in conference that I'm good friends with that are watching this right now, and I think I'm gonna keep my mouth shut for a good reason.
Yeah. Hey, you want to tell me? I mean, I'm be all ears.
Of course, you don't have to worry about it until the end of the season, so you're
So by then I'll already have it figured out, right?
probably like.
I'll just ask UCLA and Arkansas what they did.
Yeah,
all right.
UCLA, you can tell them that, oh, we put our linemen
offensive tackles at your number 2 wide receiver. Got it.
Yeah, they did that.
I'll have an athlete there, though. Don't worry. All right.
Like, that's just a trick. That was a trick game right there. That was a trick game. They put a player out of position, and like the second slot wide receiver went up against a freshman, and that
was tricky.
Good. Anyway, yeah, no, that's a tough game.
The next question is, as the head coach of the Baylor Bears, are you buying or selling?
I'm biased.
Oh yeah, and I'm going to agree with what you say. I'm going to buy. There's a lot to be excited for. Baylor has a great recruiting class right now, as much as I hate to say it. You have solid players redshirting. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 7 guys who are redshirted right now are at least 4-star players. We're back in the future already. There's a lot to be excited for Baylor, and I think they're only going to get better from here. It's going to be a challenge to replace Schwartz. Lamont Wilder at least has another year to bring in the new quarterback. Haston Ryder might be gone, so they might have to look for replacements at the tight end position. But they have recruits coming in to fix that too. They got Marquise Roll coming in and some other good talent for Baylor. So,
yeah,
Garrett Powers is going to be awesome. He's going to be like Dad Castle.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see. That'd be cool to see. If I were to talk about my team right now, at least in a long-term kind of stance, we're definitely looking towards the future. Right now, we got some really good guys coming up. Olmstead's been, he's been really practicing, especially being under Marcus Schwartz. That's guy's been there plenty of times. Like, Schwartz was at one point benched his freshman year, and then in the sophomore year onwards, we kind of just gave him more play time, more time to get under center. And the thing was, we didn't really rely on him. The good thing for Olmstead is, he's gonna by the time that he could be starting next season, like he will at least have some good wisdom. He will still be a freshman, of course, but I think he'll have a good amount of experience to at least do decently. And yeah, I'm
Is
also excited for a few players like Powers, obviously, but I'm ready for Miles Street to just see him run down the field. So
oh the linebacking core of Zach McHale and Garrett Powers is going to be incredible. It's going to be the second best in the Big 12 once they're together.
yeah, we'll see. Let's see how long they play together. That's something. You know
Probably
what?
3 years. You got 3 years.
Hmm? Something I wasn't really intending, but it's something I'm also excited about. So
I think it works out well.
yeah, wanted to at least make my team scary again. So
Make Baylor scary again. They're not scary enough now.
yeah. Oh god, the jokes I'm thinking of right now that can and going on, going on, going on, going on, going on.
All right.
Yeah.
Now
Anyways, who's next on the list?
next, yeah,
Texas.
Texas Longhorns. Yeah, a team who just kind of got torched this week. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Well, sort of. We're here to talk about
Go on.
their team, like how they've been this year. Their offense, I think, is good. I think Kyler Tackett's one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, and they're going to have him for 3 more years.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. I think it'll be interesting to see how this Longhorns team really develops in the long run because Longhorns long run. I just thought of that. Anyways, like you got Kyler Tackett, JUCO quarterback, that's right there. Simeon Wells is in his sophomore campaign, so those two are going to be together for the rest of their college careers, at least probably. You got guys, like Steve and Maloney, that's going to be a really good valve player for Tackett, especially with Abdul Casey really being the only other wide receiver option for them. This offense looks, this offense looks decent. The line looks okay, but at the same time, I think that's something that they're trying to work on right now. But they got the weapons. The line, I think, is going to do their job, but they have the weapons.
Yeah.
On the defensive side, though, they got a really young defense, I think.
They have a young defense. They have an elite defensive line. They have solid players at linebacker. Jabari Fletcher's great. Their inside linebackers are all right. They have a young freshman, though, who's already a 4-star stud, who's going to be about as good as he is for the next 4 years. They have corners. They have young corners with Damani Jeffries and Devin Braxton, trying to bring back that Ivory Hull, Troy Marshall duo kind of style. Safeties are all right, but I think when you look at this team, if you look past the offensive line, I think you choose their offense, but that defensive line is going to eat that offensive line alive. They have the best defensive line in the conference, and I think that's kind of ends up why you're having to choose defense. At least for me, I'm going to take their defense. I think Jamal Robinson has a great game. I think he gets to Kyler Tackett. They're going to make him run a bit, and Zahir Rouse kind of takes advantage of that, and I think he might throw a couple picks, especially like Damani Jeffries, who is a star.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit pissed that he managed to take Jamal Robinson that season. But anyways, yeah, no, this defense. Yeah, I think I'd have to go with the defense on this one. This looks like something that you'd see from the real Texas Longhorns team right now, especially a little bit young, but they've got really good players, really good potential, scary line too. And that linebacker, Jabari Fletcher, is going to be right there. This is a team that I think I'd have a problem with. So
now, if you're looking at this team, are you buying or selling?
I would probably. I kind of want to go with sell. They have the defense, they do, but I think that they need to answer some questions to make that sell turn into a buy. It's more of a toss up for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with buy. I like them at every position except wide receiver. Abdul Casey's going to graduate, and they're going to have really nobody there unless Sean Lyles progresses well. They recruited DeQuan Crockett, so he'll be getting there probably soon. Tight end, they have Stephen Maloney, but he's going to graduate, so he's going to be gone. So I guess Mason or Mohey Plummer is going to come in. So they're not going to really give Tackett any targets. Now they can play with Simeon Wells, who's going to be a good running back for them, and they'll still have Tackett to make some plays, but I think that's a problem they run into, and I'm not sure how it works out for them. So I am going to buy because I think they're going to answer that question on offense, and I think defense, they have young stars up and down the roster and recruits coming in who are going to answer well to that, and I think they're going to be a very good team, especially if we're only looking, say, 2 or 3 years ahead. After that, I mean, what can you really guess about a team?
That's
so
fair.
I'm going to say buy right now, especially because they're, 5th in the conference in the rankings. I'll say 2 or 3 years from now, they're going to be top 3.
Okay. That's a fair point, and it makes sense. I'll still stand by what I say, but, you give a good argument. So, there you go. All right. I think
And next one is the TCU Horned Frogs at number 4 in the conference. So good.
Yeah, no, pretty good job. You guys played a really good game, especially on the defense. So, got to give credit to you.
Yeah, not as much on the offensive side. There's a struggle with Milner out there, but he's figuring it out week after week.
Yeah, I think at this point, I like what I see from the Horned Frogs offense right now. You got obviously you got a lot of young players coming in, and Shamar Burrows, he's doing his job as probably the veteran weapon alongside Kanata Gata.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you got a solid team that's if I were to put your offense against your defense, it'd still be a close battle, but I think your offense could make the right plays. But
yeah, well, I'm definitely going to disagree because I think my defense can shut them down. I'm really high on my defense after the last couple games, especially seeing what they did to the Kansas offense and after some changes I've made. But
right.
I do like Sam Milner. I think if he has a good game, that this offense can keep up with a lot of teams. Griffin McHanna's kind of been coming out recently, and I like what I see from my offense, but I still think Shamar Burrows isn't that great of a running back, even though each week he continues to prove me wronger and wronger on that.
Okay.
Defensively, though, I think top to bottom there are so many really talented players that it's kind of hard to argue against my defense, especially with the performance they've had the last 2 weeks, shutting down both the Kansas schools.
It's fair. It's going to be a tough defense to play against, just like Texas will be. So.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the conference kind of shakes out of the next couple of years because we already bought Baylor and Texas. So the rest of the teams at the top, who's going up, who's going down.
Yeah.
And I think for the rest of my defense, the secondary is going to be fun to play with too. Because right now, or just for the rest of this year, because we got Roman Blackman, the JUCO guy, William Cooper, who's a freshman, Matthew Dyson, and Chris Malone are just – that's their 3rd year playing together, actually, and as the 2 safeties, and hopefully there's one more.
Yeah. I think from a buy and sell standpoint, this would be a very expensive stock to buy.
Mm-hmm.
This would be like an Apple. I'm not complimenting you. I'm just being honest. Knowing how stacked your teams are, this would be an expensive stock to buy. But I think it would be an interesting investment to look into. You at least putting together a pretty good recruiting class. Got a few defensive tackles coming in, and you already have a linebacker and tight ends that are going to fill up some good positions as well. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's at least what I could take from it. You also have at least a safety that'll be there for at least quite some time. So,
yeah, I think because again, I'm with you, kind of biased on my own team, but I think this is a team I'm gonna buy pretty strongly. Um, it's up there because we're what the number 4 team in the conference. So when you're getting there, it's kind of hard to buy teams who are up there, especially at the top. How can you say they're getting much better? But the Big 12 doesn't have any ranked teams, so it's really a question of when you're going to buy or sell these player or teams if they're going to get up into those rankings. I think our secondary next year might be the best in the country, especially if Malone and Dyson stay, because they'll lock down those safety positions and the corners only get better. The linebackers, I have the new guy coming in who's redshirting right now, so he'll replace John Kearns, but both of them stay. Both the other linebackers stay. My defensive ends are both going to get better. They're 4.5-star guys. My defensive tackles are going to stay there. They're both 4.5-star guys. And then the entire offense has 3 seniors. This entire team only has 4 seniors starting and 4 juniors. I think as a strong team right now, over the next few years, they're only going to get stronger, which is going to be really fun. But I've said that in the past, and the team hasn't gotten stronger. So it's going to be one that kind of depends on coaching, continuing to recruit new talent. But I'm excited about the class we have coming in, so we'll see. I'm excited to see this offense. When you have Sam Milner develop, when you have Griffin McHanna, and then you also have F.T. Grady, Mateo Cates coming in, and hopefully Rodrigo Marroquin, the wide receiver.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
At least that's all
I got my team for way longer than I should, so that's why we're going to try and go past this.
Yeah. Anyways, we got Texas Tech up right now. Pretty interesting team itself right here. Like, got Solomon McLaughlin, which is basically the heart and soul of this offense right here. You have Chase Shapiro, redshirt junior, hybrid quarterback. Looking at the rest of the team, they have an okay receiving core. It's not stellar, but it's okay. If I were to look at their line, they have they have like some youth, but also some veterancy. You got Justice Spencer, that is pretty much the guy that McLaughlin's going to be running by. Carter Brantley is the other guy that's going to be blocking for him right now. And then Walter Shannon's another good spot at right guard. So looking at an offense that's focused primarily on the ground game, this would be interesting to see how their defense would go. So, and
yeah, I'm interested to see this team too. I think this is a team I probably choose the defense on, but I just noticed something about their defense I hadn't seen all year. Curtis Jones, who's an athlete, who is the backup left end, the third string defensive tackle, the backup right end, the third string left outside linebacker, the third string inside linebacker, and the third string right outside linebacker.
He's their all-around athlete.
He is an all-around athlete. So I hope he ends up playing at inside linebacker, because that means they have a 6'5", 275 inside linebacker out there.
Very scary guy to run through.
Yes. And I have no clue what position he's supposed to play now, so you stumped me there, Ace. But I think they're one of the best players in the conference on defense, and Cameron Riley is their strong safety. I think their linebacking core is good, or at least serviceable. I think they should move Curtis Jones to start as the right outside linebacker.
I think that they're all pretty good secondary as well. You're looking at Jeffrey Colbert and Cameron Dozier, that they're 2 senior cornerbacks, but you also have Jameer Pendleton and Cameron Riley that kind of it's going to make the deep threat very difficult to play against. So
yeah, and though Texas Tech, their offense is not a deep threat team. They have Solomon McLaughlin, and that's all they use. So I'm very interested to see if Solomon McLaughlin's going to be all that is. And I think even if an offense can focus on that, I don't think he's good enough to win a game against their defense for them. I think that that being that one dimensional right there is going to hurt him. And I think just looking forward to the future might be something for them to kind of spread more out. They don't really have any wide receivers to throw to either, so it's kind of a double-edged sword for them.
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'd go with their defense as well. So, what do you think? Buy, sell? What's the word for the Red Raiders?
Sell. Yeah, because McLaughlin's good. McLaughlin's going to be great for him, and I'm annoyed that they have him. Who else do they have? They got Robert Brantley last year. They got Curtis Hunter, a couple of 4-star guys. No one really great. They got him last year. And right now, who they have coming in? Charlie Becker.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone else, like any other recruits right now. They're at Texas Tech. So it's kind of a tough position for them to be in. I think they're going to start to hurt for depth. I think you're going to see their team suffer. And I'm not going to say it's going to get that bad, but you remember Marshawn Matheson at NC State? Yeah. I don't think it's going to get to that level. I think Ace is going to do a good enough job to build the team around him because you do have guys like Becker, but I don't think he's going to do enough.
Yeah, this will be.
I think it's going to be kind of it's going to be a one-dimensional team with him.
Yeah, no, this looks like it's about to. I think he's trying to build a one-dimensional team right now because looking at least at the red shirts, Charlie Becker is a confirmed going right there, and then you have Austin Callahan, Curtis Hunter, and Robert Brantley that look like that they could be starting as well.
They're also recruiting Armani Bello from trying to take Kansas.
So right now, I see Walter Shannon's going to be there for 2 more seasons. They are trying to. They have another guy right behind Carter Brantley, but at the same time, this is, I don't know, it's a little bit too hard for me to see right now whether it should be bought or not. So, right now it could be a sell, but I'd have to at least see more proof for that.
All right. Yeah. So, I'm going to sell on that one. And that brings us up to our next team. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Country road, take me home to the place I belong.
West Virginia,
Mount
Mama,
take me home. Country roads. Last week, Half didn't know the words to that song, so he had to look them up before we did it.
Wasn't the Sean McKenzie on as well?
Or? He hasn't been on yet. I wanted to get him on as soon as possible.
Okay, cool. That'll be a fun week once he's on here. This is a team that I've been paying attention to for good reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. This looks like
it's a scary team. Did you see
off.
them this week? Oh man, Texas is good. They embarrassed them.
This I think is the scary. They have the scariest trifecta or trio in the Big 12 right now. You got Muhammad Foster, you have Muhammad Mustafa, so Momo, and then J.C. Weldon at wide receiver. You also have Jason Dupree if you want to make it a quadruple threat. Or I can't come up with anything right now. But it's a very scary offense. Their line isn't the best, but it's still a very scary. They have very scary weapons.
They have so many weapons on offense, and that's only matched by guys like Hudson Adam, who's a great weapon they have on defense. But unfortunately, I don't think that's enough for them. I think that their offense would destroy their defense. I think their offense is going to destroy most defenses, and I think if you had to take them, Hudson Adam might be able to put some pressure, but Muhammad Foster can run by everyone else.
Yeah.
And while they have some other talented players on defense, that combo of Foster and Weldon is so good. They lucked out with Weldon as a transfer, especially for Marshall. But yeah, that's
Muhammad Foster, if he can't throw it to Weldon, he's going to run through anyway. So it's
or,
just
or throw it to Elias Langston. Like he has other great targets too. So uh, yeah, Foster is easily who I take for this. I think he is the best quarterback in the conference. Country. He's the best scrambler in the country for sure. Except you might be able to make an argument for Nico Kaufman, but I'm still taking Foster over him. Foster is insane, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him for the rest of the season, and hopefully next season with an NFL team.
yeah, yeah, we'll see.
Please not another year with West Virginia. We can't handle it. Please,
So,
J.C. Weldon too. Let's see them both go. I'm sorry.
yeah, I can't wait to play them later this season. I can't wait.
All right.
Yeah.
And, but on that same note, I'm going to sell.
So nothing against you, Smackums, but it's going to be very tough for at least West Virginia to pick up with the rest of the Big 12, given with how recruiting is. Mm-hmm. Strangely enough, they are doing a decent job with at least rebuilding. They already have their next trio figured out, I think.
Yeah, they have a good recruiting class right now. They have some solid players, depth guys, Corey Easley, Bryce Madison, their quarterback. It's a tier down from their current trio, but it's still not going to be bad. The reason I sell is because it's hard not to take a step down from where they are. When you have this elite talent at quarterback, an elite talent at wide receiver, and an elite talent at defensive tackle, sure they have other holes, but you're not going to – those players don't grow on trees. You can recruit as many 5.0s as you want, and you're still not always going to get guys like J.C. Weldon. It's just kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of good players, but I don't think West Virginia has the answer to – it'll be tough to replace them.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where we fall. I think there's more to their team to talk about, but they kind of live and die on those guys, and I think after they're gone, they'll die. Not die. They'll fall to a middle of the team.
I think the team will just fall a little bit back to earth.
Yeah, a little bit back. Not number 2 in the conference, especially when you have teams like TCU, Texas, Baylor, Oklahoma on the rise. Yeah. I think those are going to be the top 4 teams in the conference. But there's another team that could compete for that, and that's the final one we have on our list.
Oklahoma State.
Yep. Not Red Raiders, not Sooners. I've tried to say that a couple times. The Cowboys.
Yeah.
And they are deservedly at the top spot, undefeated right now. They just knocked down the Red Raiders in a shootout in Lubbock. It was in Lubbock, I believe.
Yeah.
So
no, Stillwater? It was in Lubbock.
It was in Lubbock, yeah. It was an exciting game between the two of them. And they came out looking deserving of their spot. I think that game really explained what the answer to our next question would be. If you had to take their offense or their defense, I think you take their offense. But it's not an easy question. They do have a good defense, but I think their offense kind of blows that out of the water.
Yeah. Their offense is really interesting if you do look at it. Chester Brenner is pretty much, he's the guy they're throwing to notification. But anyways, Chester Brenner is their quarterback. They're pretty much running an air raid. Granted, they do have Khalil Bell, but he's just filling in a position when they need to, get that short third down mark.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at their wide receiver core, he already has an answer at the number 1, the number 2, and number 3 position. And freshman Jeremy Bridges is looking phenomenal for them right now.
Highlight their entire freaking team to be able to scout. I think that should be a sanction. They're trying to hide their game film. But
Yeah,
they had a top 3 recruiting class last year.
Yeah, no, like they were crazy good from the way that recruiting was last season. I think they pretty much stayed in state for most of their recruits
Yeah,
too.
they dominated Oklahoma, and the Sooners went out of state, and everyone stayed within state. And they're the only other team within state. I think Tulsa's there, but they dominated the stage. If you look at their red shirts, you can see what the result of that was.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of talent coming in.
Yeah.
But it's still a question. Do you buy or sell? Because they're at the top spot of the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, no, they are in the top spot in the Big
Also,
12.
for the final decision, like I said their offense would win. Because I don't think their defense is at the same tier their offense is, especially not with Brenner. But do you buy or sell?
I think looking right now, I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to go with buy. They already have their answer for quarterback with Ian Baldwin, who's supposed to take the quarterback position next season as a redshirt sophomore. As far as the rest of their offense goes, they still have the 3 same guys, Xavier Grant, Jay Dunn, and Jeremy Bridges. They also have another guy in Samuel Barfield that will either be their number 4, number 3, or number 2 dude. And so, like, you're going to have a very scary air raid from the Cowboys next season. You have Jamal Boyd that could be the starting running back. And so right now, like, they have this recruiting class they're bringing in. It's going to be a good reason for them to buy. Long term, I'm not sure, but right now it's still a good time to buy Oklahoma State stock.
I'm the same way. I think as a team, Oklahoma State's going to get better. Mm-hmm. I think a couple years from now, other teams in the Big 12 will pass them up. Like, I don't think they're going to remain one team in the conference, but they are going to be a better team. They're going to be a top 25 team in the next few years. I think the Big 12's going to have a lot of teams get better. I think that's the ultimate result of what we're seeing here. I think next year, or even over the course of this year, I think we're going to see Oklahoma State move into the top 25. We're going to see Texas move into the top 25. I think we're going to see Baylor move into the top 25. Looking towards the next couple of years, I think we're going to see Oklahoma move into the top 25. They're going to get better. Trust me. They look bad right now, but they're going to get better. I think TCU is edging on the top 25 right now. Then you have another tier. You have Kansas, West Virginia, who can go either way. Kansas State's getting better. Texas Tech is bordering on the top 25 right now, but like I said, I'm kind of selling them. But I think they can – another team that can get better. Then Iowa State's going to be a mid-tier team. But the Big 12 – might not be the best conference this year, but trust me, it's going to be good. We looked through these teams today, and I think there's a lot to like. I think Oklahoma State is deservedly the best team in the conference right now. I think there's a lot to like from them as well, and I think they're only going to get better from here. So I think that about wraps it up. Do you have any closing words?
No, I think this is a pretty good review of each team, looking at least how their offenses and their defense would play against each other. I think this was also a good perspective to see like how you trust these teams, not only this season, but in the long run. It's kind of clear and evident that at least the Big 12 is looking long-term right now. This is a bit of a down year for them, but there's a lot of teams that are going to be having a promising future competitively. I think the Big 12 is going to be competitive.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Nation's most exciting conference.
Yeah, always nation's most exciting conference. I think this was very fun to very fun to do and to keep up with. So,
all right, sounds good. Thank you all so much. Yeah. As always, I'm Coach DangerZoneh of the TCU Horned Frogs. Go Frogs!
And I'm Coach TuscanSota of the Baylor Bears. Sick 'em.
See y'all.